Hello, greetings, this is Gillesmansillon. So I come and say hello, wish you a really good week, for it is a powerful time. As always, we're talking about the spiritual ascension process, the science of non-being, the transcendental psychology, in order to increase our inner source, our inner power, our inner focus, and to become more empowered, more happy, and more fulfilled in our life. For that is the point of existence, to feel joy and to share that joy with everyone. And I'm going to discuss a few ideas. Pull 5 cards with the... Oh, it's a lot more challenging than in the French reading. So the past is the 4 of Raphael. Look into new possibilities. Look into the magic side of life. Become aware of your emotions. So it's about not allowing ourselves to utilize emotion for what they were created for, something that's leading us towards this to bring things back to center, to see what's behind the emotion. The situation right now is the 5 of Gabriel. You can undertake a challenge. Remove yourself from people that are living tragic situation. Be patient towards yourself and others. It's somebody that's like completing a puzzle, huh? And the outcome is in the near future we're gonna bow to life and say, well, the cycle has ended. It's the 10 of Michael. It says it is finished. You are finally free. Happiness awaits you. Leave the past behind. So it's about really starting a new cycle. What we're working on right now is the 4 of Michael. It says the solution may come through meditation. Sleep more or take breaks. Eliminate the stress within yourself. We'll discuss a bit of that. And the outcome is the 3 of Michael. It's about coming out of that situation. It's about the breaking free from the past. You will come out. You will come out more of the situation that you're living today. You will be aggrandized by the after what time always heals the deepest wounds. So what we have to do, I'm going to pull one more card, 2 more cards, is finding a new angle. The Archangel Samuel. There is a better way of doing it. It's time of reflection. Dare to be different. So if we want the mirror of life to change, we have to change our inner thoughts, our inner process, and then the outcome will be the Ace of Michael, a bright idea from this reflection, from this ability to do something different, to choose a new angle. We'll find a marvelous ideas is just came about. Do not let yourself be stuck by the bumps on the road. Elucidate all problems of communication. So be clear, communicate as much as possible, communicate your thoughts, your feelings, your truth in a way that is free of stress and just to stay light. For that there is the integration between 3D and 5D, and for that there is this sense of urgency in 3D and the sense of peace in 5D. For in 5D there is never any urgency, for all is well always. But as right now I don't know if we're going through that as well, but I feel like I'm passing my life in review. Life review usually happens in between incarnations. It's not like hopefully I'm not. It's not like the end of this life, but I'm there's all kinds of things from the past that are re-emerging, and sometimes we feel a bit guilty that we've wasted so much time as we become aware of certain things. Say, wow, why didn't it would have been nice to realize that so much earlier? I would have gained so much time, but it's part of the process. We're also losing a lot of interest in some of the old activities of the 3D, yet some of them still hold magic, joy, passion, amazing potential. So be open to love and to whatever makes you feel good. For in the higher dimension, there is never anything is imposed to anyone. Everybody's doing out of joy, out of passion, out of even service is done because we feel like there is a need for service, and this is where we get the greatest fulfillment. So everything is done from passion, and all the stress that we feel right now is about this purification process that we are going through and that the earth is going through. We come from a sphere that was very pure and light, and we go down to this heavy and impure world that is the earth sphere right now. For there is a pure side to the earth as well. But there is all kinds of so it is part of this purification process. Our function and our purpose is not to purify the earth, it's to purify ourselves. As we purify ourselves, we'll get exactly the information we need to fulfill our task and to assist in the purification of the whole, for we are one in essence, in truth. I was watching a video. I thought it was an interesting comment. It was somebody who was talking about the private jets and so on, and said, well, the carbon impact, and there is all this movement of ecologies that says, well, don't use cars, stop using planes. And I say, fine, we have to be more responsible in terms of what we do. But if 90% of the population stop using planes, it's much better for the rest of us. For the 10%, the price of the ticket will be lower, and we'll move through the airports with greater ease. But enjoy everything that society has to offer. Everything is part of the process. It is just there is use and abuse that needs to be. There is this awakening, but do whatever feels right to you. And in this video, the person was saying, if we stop using planes to go across the ocean, we're gonna have to use robots, and these robots create zero pollution. It's not true. Every time we breathe out carbon monoxide. Every time we breathe out, we create a carbon impact. So what should we do? Should we stop breathing so that the ecologists will feel, the extreme ecologists will feel happy? So the idea is that if there was no carbon monoxide for the planes and the cars reject carbon dioxide, but essentially if there were no more carbon monoxide and dioxide, the plant would die. That's what they nourish themselves from. So it is about restoring the balance of if we create more carbon impact, is to create more trees and more nature, and the ocean can absorb it and transmute it, because the trees are actually feeding from carbon monoxide and breathing in carbon monoxide and breathing out oxygen. When we breathe in oxygen and we reject carbon monoxide. So it's all about finding this balance. Very soon we'll have enough power. This will be inside a pillar of light. Our thoughts and emotion will be aligned, and we'll create an aura where nothing will be penetrable. We'll be impenetrable by negative or lower energies. And vulnerable to illness, will become like Superman, Superwoman, super beings, and this is part of the genetic progress that is happening through the DNA awakening. What we want to do is understanding the aura is about 1 meter above our head, below our feet on each side, and front and back. So you push the aura about 2.5 to 3 meters in front of you, in your back, in your side, on your top, and in your back. So you have a more expansive aura, and then from the source there is a soul star on top that holds it. It's like a Taurus energy field, and then the Earth star below is to activate a golden light that spirals down to around the aura, that creates this bubble that's like the golden white light that surrounds it and connects the soul star to the Earth star. Just a technique to work with. Sometimes we wish like we want a one-way ticket to heaven. We want to return to but when I ask for that, because sometimes I felt my life was so dull, God remind. I feel like I've been through the whole parameters of what I could explore. I want to explore larger frequencies. God says, well, no, I'm talking about my project, my mission here, so I have to. So I'm going to stick to that program to understand the mission is not over yet. And there's a grand adventure ahead. Understand, heaven is within, so it's just a matter of integrating those new energies. And we're very close to the final removal of that old parameters, all those 3D beliefs. It's like there is still resistance to allowing this God self that's speaking louder and louder within us. So we want to remove the resistance to our God self, to our divinity. But we are all, in some sense, stubborn. It means there is certain things, I don't know if you know what it is in your life that you're still holding on to, that you know you should not be holding on to. It can be a belief, it can be a wound, it can be a habit, it can be a doubt, a fear, all those things. What is it you actually holding on to? Because by identifying what it is we're holding on to, we are preparing ourselves to let it go, and to trust that when we let go of something that's so familiar because we are holding on to and we like it so much unconsciously, for a time there is a period of mourning that loss of that thing, but then but then there is always something new, better that comes to replace it. For we all came down in service, and we came from the higher planes in service, but there is this memory, this longing to return to heaven. For sometimes when we come with very high frequency, a very pure joy and love, it's very hard to deal with the conflict, the chaos, of this world. It's like the ignorance of the third dimension, like Heraclitus, the great philosopher of the 6th century BC, who was crying all the time because people were so ignorant around him. Also, I'm going to pull a few cards first. Pull a few cards from the Akash. Utilize those are just tools to reflect, to mirror. The highest wisdom for us today is Asia. Here it is the Buddha, finding lucidity, serenity, peace, and enlightenment. What we need to understand is Egypt. It's the power to connect to the Orion star system, the Sirius star system, to reconnect to the Akash, to reconnect to, there is all network of pyramids. Those pyramids are extraterrestrial technologies that have been dormant for a long time, but being reactivated. What we need to do is the healer. And the outcome is man-woman. It's about integrating the yin and the yang. It's about finding this balance. And then once we find this balance, sometimes it's like men and women have been turned. They haven't been complementary as complementary as they could be. Sometimes they come into these forces of opposition, but they have to work together to reestablish the balance. And for that, we need forgiveness. For men have been abusing women for millenniums, but it wasn't really. It was something that was imposed from this dark matrix of the Anunnakis, that was to degrade women and to create this system of monetarization, patriarchy, the kings, the priests, and so. But woman is just as the woman comes first. It has to be a woman first before she's the mother has to birth all things into being. It is the mother that births things into being, and we can call on the goddesses in order to assist us with that. And like this is a painting. It's a portrait of Athena, beloved Athena. She's got a discreet helmet and an owl on her shoulder. And so it says Athena here in silver, and on the bottom there's the word champagne that imposes itself. So it's a very festive painting, and here it is a painting. It's number 2 of this astronomy portrait painting about the 150 most important planet of our solar system. I wanted to discuss the idea that we live in a dark matrix, and there is all kinds of controllers and systems of control that were created by what we call the Dark Cabal, or the Illuminatis, or the Khazarian Mafia, all those dark souls that are deep state, that are controlling the world. But they're very useful. What they're here, and if they were not here, the sleeping population could have never awakened, because they would be enlightened souls that would come and incarnate on the planet. They would achieve their ascension, and then the sleeping population will remain sleeping, and then a new generation of enlightened souls would come in create an enlightened civilization and ascend, like the Maya did. The Maya ascended, but since there's this very dark energy, all the light souls that incarnated are forced to remain here, and so to work with the whole of the population. And the more we can enlighten and assist people, the faster this program will come, because we're supposed to do this great collective ascension, this great event. And also understanding, the more we're able to give out light, the more light we will receive as well. It's just the way it works. And those dark souls are not really to be envied. Sometimes you feel like, well, they're rich and powerful, but wealth and power without love won't account to that much at the end. They will be left with very poor feelings, and it's so we have to have compassion for them and send them love, and so as much as possible, for they are serving their function, but they don't have the best role, as sometimes we feel like those people, because they have so much power and so much money, they are in a better position than most humans, which is not the case. Love is really what will create what bridge the dimension, that bridge the ascension, and guarantee the continuation of our ascension process. For in fifth dimension, everything flows, everything goes naturally, but when third dimension, and as third dimensional beings, we live in a physical realm, for everything will be shifting. I wanted to speak about the idea of gardens. The earth was created originally as a garden of Eden. as a privileged place where everybody we could live in the abundance of nature and freedom. But then there was this what we call the fall from grace at some point, so now we just want to restore this ecological balance, to have more gardens, to be more that the cities be more integrated within nature. If we have more nature within the city, they will absorb that. But it's sometimes in the gardens there is all kinds of negative, some insects that are or even in agriculture, they use pesticides because of insects, and so we want to return to a way that is more biologically natural, for natural food. If we eat food that's full of chemicals, of course it reduces our lifespan and it makes us sick. It is natural, although it's the convenient way that's been used right now. But we want to move into the whole natural process. But sometimes those natural processes are not preventing insects from coming into the gardens, and they're kind of like, they may be bothered. So if you have a garden and you want to be free of those of insects that could or little animals that are not positive for the equilibrium of your garden, the recommendation, there was a channel talking about this, is to call on the nearest fairy queen. For the fairies are taking care of the gardens. They are invisible beings, they are magic beings, poetic. They live in a poetic dimension, a magic dimension. To invite the fairy queen to come with fairies and to relocate, to ask them to relocate those insects in a place where they will live in peace and not bother anybody, but they won't be able to disturb your gardens. Once this is done, you've made this invocation, you've call on those spirits. You can always to send gratitude to them. You want to leave some pieces of chocolate, some little gift, and wrap them and leave pieces of chocolate in nature. They really love that. They're not going to eat the physical chocolate, but they will draw on the essence, and they love and it creates a link, a bond of gratitude between. And to work with the divas. The divas are like angels, angelic beings that are supervising the elemental world. And so we're moving into this ascension process. Some people will go up to the ships, they work as liaison, others will stay on the ground, and some will do both. So it's all about, everything is kind of predetermined, predestined in some sense, depending on our soul purpose and plans. I'm going to show those paintings I finished. There's a few portraits. Here's a portrait of Henri Matisse with astrology. Comments on the astrology. Just wanted to show, this is my portrait of Salvador Dali. This finished also with his astrology in the back. Painting about a portrait of Picasso. It says Picasso on top. With his astrology, or Gillesmansillon. I'm not gonna. So they're not. And it's got the feeling. I really like it. I think it's good. And I'm working on this portrait of Vincent van Gogh. It's not quite finished. I have to work on the eyes, and the background is going to be fluidified. And then this is astrology. Van Gogh was ascendant Cancer, and he had a Sun and Venus in Aries, with Mars and Neptune in Pisces, and then he had Pluton, Neptune, Saturn, and Mercury in Taurus, and his North Node in Gemini, with the Moon and Jupiter in Sagittarius. So it's still work. I still have to work on the eyes, and it's a bit intense, but it's going to be a nice painting. So a nice series of art. I'm going to pull one more card. I'm going to finish with a song. It's a song I've already sang, but it's an old song. It's called Amazing Grace. It goes like this. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that that grace appear. The hour I first believed, when we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun. We've no less days to sing God's praise than when we first began. Alright, thank you very much for sticking till the end. Thank you for liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing. We're really looking forward to this new cycle, and there is something that's really ending. And so the card of the day from Rumi. Rumi was a mystic, a poet, Sufi from the 14th century, Persia. And here the card is, well, the cards are more recent, of course, it's based on his poetry. It's the card number 26, is Al-Uza, Star of Venus. So it's about channeling this love from Venus. Venus is the sister of our planet, the goddess of Venus is very active and will continue to be very active in activating this collective hologram of love and higher dimension. I wish you a wonderful day, and I thank you very much. Namaste.